You're on mute. You're on mute, Mark.
Yes,
Find the button. Find the button.
there are too many buttons on this thing. It's Saturday, October 25th, and it's Tinderbox Meetup with Michael Becker. I'm Mark Bernstein, the designer of Tinderbox. We've had a busy week backstage getting Tinderbox and Gemini to play with each other, but that's working now. And so we have more goodness for that. And without further delay, here's Michael Becker.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the meetup. Typically, what we do is we go around the room and introduce new people. We have no one new today. We will talk about our projects or a theme. And today we actually do have a theme. We have Luke from Hookmark, who's going to talk to us all about linking today. So without further ado, let's hand it off. And Luke, take it away.
Okay, I wasn't too sure exactly what you'd want me to present, but I guess it has to do with Hookmark and its use with Tinderbox. So
Or also the broader point, before you even do that, maybe you can go up a higher level strategically. Why do we do linking? What's the benefit of linking? What is
okay.
linking? Like,
So I think Mark had in his email, he mentioned the Manifesto for Ubiquitous Linking, which was co-signed by 24 Mac app developers and professors. Basically, it makes the case for the original vision of hyperlinking, I guess, which is of a computing environment in which information items are connected to each other so that one can navigate between from one's area of focus to other information which one wants to be in one's focus without needing to search, basically by using links. So minimize searching, minimize navigation. Um, and the reason we did a manifesto is that this calls for software to have two things. First, you have to have a user interface to get links to information items in software like Tinderbox. And you need to have an API um, so that people can set up automations and use software that connects items together. So there needs to be an API for linking. And the promise of this is that it will help keep knowledge workers in a state of flow when they're doing knowledge work, basically knowledge intense work. Um, the, helps, because search is and navigation are distracting. When you search and navigate, you encounter other information, like in your email. If you have to search for, let's say, comments from a reviewer on a journal article that you're writing, and then you're in your email, and all of a sudden you see an email message from your wife or from a friend or from something, and next thing you know, 20 minutes has gone by and you've lost your focus. But what if you could connect your draft to Tinderbox notes that you're using to create that draft, emails from reviewers, an outline, maybe a key graphic, maybe the journal's specification of the format that they want the paper in, key bibliographical information, etc. So that's the idea of ubiquitous linking.
what now? Wouldn't there also be a benefit of efficiency of, like, everything in its place, everything has its place, so your mind can also remember this is where that thing generally is, and you're not duplicating items all over the place.
Yeah, so that's a very astute comment that some of the we sometimes we get some negative feedback on the idea of linking, saying, "Well, I like things to be in their place in a nice hierarchy, and I like to know where things are." So I think linking doesn't preclude, it definitely doesn't preclude the idea of having information in a place where you know where it is.
Well, I think it actually helps, right? Because then that way you're not having to duplicate stuff and you know where it is and you can link to it when you need to.
Right, and you could, for instance, link a draft that you're writing to a folder that contains ancillary information. Like you might, for whatever reason, you might like having your figures in a particular folder that's separate from your draft. So if you could link your draft to your figures, then that, you get the best of both worlds. You can find the information through navigating and search, and you can get to it contextually. Basically, the idea of Hookmark is contextual information retrieval, and we aim for hyper relevant contextual information retrieval. So you want to be able to retrieve information contextually, and the information you're presented with, you'd like to be super relevant to what you're doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's my personal use case. Is I keep all my images in a series of couple of folders, and then I link to those images out of Tinderbox.
Okay, that's cool. But do you create a hierarchy within that folder?
Not really. Like I've
So-
got my article images, I've got my school images. I keep it really loose,
Okay.
and I just know that's where my images are.
Okay. So I can give you an example of how sometimes notes can be uh, in in a location that basically all bunched together. Some people, I'm fine with that for a lot of notes. So I'm going to open a book that I wrote called Cognitive Productivity with Mac OS, and there's a 50% discount coupon that I made for people who are interested in that book. So if I bring up Hookmark in this context, so Hookmark is a window that looks a little bit like a Spotlight or a launcher window in that it's a dialog box that runs as a background process that's fairly non-obtrusive. The difference is that the title bar of the Hookmark window reflects the title of whatever is the focus. So
Are you
here I've got.
sharing your screen, by the way, or no?
Oh my God, I didn't share my screen. That is so autistic. Uh, I'm thinking that everybody can see what I'm seeing. So let's share my screen.
If we could see what we're showing, we'd be in awe.
Yeah. So desktop
Oh no,
2.
oh no, no. We're all on the same semantic word, same semantic location.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So something has happened with my Zoom. I'm not a Zoom master. I managed to avoid Zoom throughout most of the pandemic, but Uh, okay, so we're looking at here is a PDF of a book. I bring up Hookmark. The title bar of the Hookmark contextual window um, reflects the title of the PDF. So you can. I'm going to bring this down because Zoom is obscuring something. So you can see that the file name of the PDF is Cognitive Productivity Mac OS, and that's reflected here. So then you're presented with that, and then there's a contextual. Um, there's a there's a uh, we call it the action button here that has a bunch of commands that operate essentially on whatever the title bar reflects, which starts by being um, the foreground item. So you can do things like you can copy a link to just about anything, so even to a file. Now I'll give you a I'll copy that link for you and I'll put it in a note that I have here, which has a coupon to the book. So here's I've just pasted a link to the file. So this is the file here, and there's a link there. And if I click on this link, it'll open the file. Now, the beauty of these links is that they're robust. You can move the file around and the link will still work. I'll illustrate that by showing another command here, which is kind of handy, which is to reveal the file in whatever the current item is in the Finder, as long as it's a file. So I can reveal that. So you see the PDF lives here, but I can move that PDF. Let's say I move it to the top here. Now, if this was a traditional file link, the link would break, it wouldn't work. But Hookmark essentially uses the equivalent of aliases behind the scenes, except it goes beyond aliases so that the file links still work. The file links are just a particular kind of link that Hookmark allows you to make, but it's an important kind. So I'm going to do Command K to reveal the link, and you see that Hookmark defines these URL streams like Tinderbox would have Tinderbox : // we have hook : // and then we have a subscheme for the different kinds of objects that Hookmark works with, files, emails, etc. So this is just what the file looks like or the link looks like, and we happen to be encoding part of the path and the file name in this. So when you create a link in Hookmark, there's two kinds of links essentially. There's links that you can paste, like traditional links, and then there's bidirectional links, which we call hooks.
So
I
Mark's
wanted
got
to
it set up, and then
go
I've got
ahead.
a question when you get a
Oh
chance.
yeah, oh, I didn't see that. Sorry.
Yeah, if
Go
you
ahead,
can,
Mark.
yes, if you can move links around, move files around and the links are preserved, what about the file gives it its identity?
Okay, so there's two answers to that, but there's Hookmark has well, let's look at the link, the URL itself. So the identity is basically we code information here about the path, the current path of the object. So the P equals is that. You don't need to know this part. I'm just
Right.
getting behind the scenes. And the N is the current file name. Now, Hookmark has a database of links that it has created. Whenever you create a link in Hookmark, it will create a what we call a bookmark, and I can illustrate it here. We'll go to the bookmark window, Command Option F, for instance. So all bookmarks, and this is hilarious because uh, we're not seeing the link that is supposed to be there. I wonder if it's a refresh problem. No, it's just Content Productivity macOS. For some reason, it didn't show up. Oh, there's a 2 showing up. It says it knows about 2 links, but it doesn't. Anyway, so Hookmark in its database creates the equivalent of an alias. It's a bookmark. It's a macOS bookmark object, and that actually tracks the file. So Hookmark uses a bunch of information. It codes information in the path should you paste the link, but you also can use these links inside Hookmark itself. So it has this bookmark object, but it does a bunch of and has a bunch of heuristics behind the scenes that it uses, so that these links can actually be shared. You can share this link that I made here just with somebody else if this file should be in say Git or Subversion or iCloud, shared document or Dropbox. There's information that Hookmark uses to resolve the links heuristically. Yeah, so that's it. So in the database, basically, we have information, and it's supposed to be shown in the bookmarks window, and I haven't a clue why it didn't show up. Make a note of that.
So I
Go
do
ahead.
have a quick question. So when I say get a bookmark of an image, and I pull that image, when I pull that hookmark into copy the markdown URL,
Yeah.
bring that into Tinderbox. Tinderbox seems to be incapable of rendering the path so that it renders as an HTML image when you try to preview in Tinderbox. And I'm wondering, is there a way around that?
Okay, so I'm not maybe it'd be time for you to do a screen share because in terms of bringing things into Tinderbox, one way to do it to bring something into Tinderbox is implicitly through a command we called hook to new. There's 2 versions of this. There's your default note, we call it a note-taking app, which is in this case it defaults to Apple or Apple Notes when you first install Hookmark. But there's hook to new ... where you can choose what new item you want to create a hook to. A hook is a bidirectional link. So
Well,
we've got
it actually may be faster just for me to show you.
yeah,
And then I'll share my screen real quick and show it to you.
sure. And I'll
So,
come back to showing you the hook to new Tinderbox later.
yeah. Yeah, so if you look at this,
Okay, do I have to unshare my screen? No.
so
There we go.
so if I copy a hook,
Okay, I'm not seeing your screen. Is everybody else seeing your screen?
I'm sharing it. Yeah.
How come I just see your screen and my screen?
Your Zoom window is probably behind something.
Oh, I see you.
I'll stop and do it again.
Maybe I need to unshare my screen.
Perhaps.
Oh, actually, it looks like it's not shared at the moment. Nobody can see my screen at the moment, right?
All right. So do you see it now?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So here's the hook. Here's the hook name.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Right. And if I put that in, if I bring it in as a markdown link, it works. But if I bring it in as a image, it doesn't. And if you actually look at the HTML, what's going on is it's giving you that hook path, but the HTML rendering engine's unable to render that. So is there a way around that?
Well, basically, the developer of every app who wants to process hook links would need to adapt their software to be able to translate that into a file, which you can do because we've got into into a file path, which you can do because Hookmark has, Apple script to resolve. Basically, you can ask it to resolve to translate a hook file link into a file link. So to give you an example, Brett Terpstra updated his Markdown app so that you can actually paste in these the hook file links, which is very useful because the problem with these file links, of course, is that they're brittle. So by being able to support hook file links, you can actually
Right.
you can actually resolve them. So that I mean, Mark would need to look at that and say, is there enough people, basically, are there enough
Yeah.
people who would use that? And I'd love every Tinderbox user to be a Hookmark user, and that would justify the use case being implemented.
But WebKit/Safari doesn't already do this.
Uh, Resolve hook links?
Yeah,
Well, if you Hook has all these different links, and like if you put in the address bar a Tinderbox link, Safari will say, "Do you want to launch that?" Because it's treated as a
right.
universal, it's a custom link. So it's the same principle goes for Hookmark. If you have a hook link, and like I said, file links are just a type. There's hook notes links, hook message email links, etc. Safari won't be able to display that item because they haven't adapted Safari to that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not holding my breath that, a million app developers are going to support these links. However, what we do have, we managed to have a huge impact with the manifesto of ubiquitous linking is convincing developers that having an API for linking is useful. So Unclutter basically just added theirs just this month actually. And I was in discussions with the CEO of you might know Beeper, which was acquired by Automatic, the WordPress company. So Beeper's a universal messaging app, and he said, "Yeah, we're going to support uh, deep links with the API in December." So we've had numerous app developers come on board. So and what we do when an app developer provides an API for linking is that we make it the requirements in the manifesto are kind of lax. They just say you have to have some API. It's not like an RFC where you're very specific on what the format is. We will go in and we'll adapt Hookmark to whatever particular idioms the software developer has implemented. And I could show you this if anybody wants to geek out. I can show you the script editor that we have when the ball comes back in my court. I think somebody else had a question earlier and I missed it. I'm gonna rely on Michael to handle the questions and to I
I
think
think good.
David's talking, but he's muted. I thought he was talking.
No, I think we're good.
Oh, we're
So
good.
Mark, is that something you can look into, by the way?
Yeah, I can look into it.
Awesome. No promises, but that'd be great.
So so I'm back with my desktop. You can see it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to illustrate a particular command that I really like that illustrates hooking in the simplest way, which is called hook to new. So I bring hookmark in any object. It could be a web page, it could be an email, just about anything that's supported by hookmark. And then you use the command called hook to new, and that's going to create an object in the app of your choice. I'm going to choose Tinderbox because let's say I want to take notes about this. It's a fairly long PDF. So I want to take notes about it in Tinderbox. So I'm going to double click on Tinderbox, and you can see that Hookmark has created a new note to in Tinderbox here, which contains well, you can't see it, but it contains a hook back. So I'm going to invoke Hookmark on this uh, object here, this Tinderbox object. I'll give it a new name. So in Tinderbox, so you can see this. It can get confusing if it's got the same name. So, oops. If there's so this is now the title bar reflects what I've selected, which is a Tinderbox note, and you're linked back here. It's called a hook. You're linked back to the PDF. So it's a bidirectional link. So I can bring Hookmark up in this, and you'll see there's a hook section here, and there's a link back to the Tinderbox object, and you see the Tinderbox URL if you're curious about that. So then you can go ahead and you can take notes about the book that the book that you're reading. So
is there any chance that that's populated in the URL attribute? Do you know that that URL link
in the
in Tinderbox? Yeah. So if you go to the Tinderbox file that you just did,
okay, so
it's that one, and then click on the little spreadsheety
circle.
thing on the right, far right, and then type URL capital.
So
Just
I
URL.
see.
Yeah, just
I
hit
see.
enter.
I see these forms. I don't see a hook
Yeah,
link.
it's already there. See, underneath it's checked. So hit URL, just hit enter. And then click away.
Reset?
No, click into the white space. Yeah, see that there. So that action populated the URL attribute, which is then accessible by Tinderbox action code. So
Okay,
if I then wanted to use that in any of my Tinderbox actions, I could.
cool. Yeah, Tinderbox is really powerful. So I was saying that the hook is
And by the way,
button.
if you click on that little globe right now.
This guy?
No, next to the URL. Next to the URL.
Okay, I see it. Yeah.
That should open up the document. There you go.
Oh yeah, cool. Cool. Oh yeah, so it created a link back.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we want. That could happen by default if the script were written that way, but was it just hidden?
It did happen by default.
Okay,
So
it was just hidden.
What didn't happen, and this could be something that we could build, is if you wanted to add a little tighter integration with Hook, we could create a default prototype called, like Hookmark. And so that when a Hookmark file got added, it would automatically apply a prototype that would show the URL and other Hookmark related attributes.
Okay. Yeah, so if you're curious behind the scenes, and I'm not the one who develops the scripts, but this is the preferences pane of Hookmark, and I'm going to go to scripts. And if I scroll down here, you can see we have a ton of integrations. It's basically what you're paying. The license fee goes partly towards having a developer who keeps track of a lot of software and adds integrations. So we've got Tinderbox. Every time there's a new version, we need to do a new thing. So there's code here to say create a new item. I'm not going to go through this, but
So just as an FYI on that, you could actually, on an aside, we could have a side conversation. It's in
yeah,
that script where you could actually have Tinderbox create a prototype for Hookmark automatically when a new note's created and then assign it.
yeah. Well, that's the beauty of it. Like
And
you could go
that
ahead.
URL would show up and all that.
A user could go ahead and edit the script and then mail us back and say, we think this would be useful.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And
Yeah,
then I'd probably check with Mark if he thinks that's a meaningful default, and then we'd update the scripts. Oh, by the way, with this new item script just happened last night because I was preparing for the demo and noticed that we hadn't included the new item Tinderbox script. So my developer did it last night, and everyone who has a valid license can get that automatically. So if you don't see it, you can check for updates, and when you check for updates, where do we put that? Check for app updates and update scripts. We automatically update the scripts, and if you're configured to automatically receive the updates,
sorry,
which you check.
Where did you get that? Settings or something?
Yeah, in the settings, the update screen has a checkbox here, automatically check for updates.
Got it.
Because I'm a developer, I need to control that so I don't turn it on, but a normal user would basically just get the latest updates. And you can check now. So if you check now, you'll get the new item script, or
Nice.
the background process would do it if you do it automatically. So we spend time every month. We're updating various scripts. New apps come on board. We do that. I I wanted to illustrate a different command, which is a different way of getting these hooked, which is hooked copied link, and put an AI spin on this, which Mark mentioned in his newsletter. That or an email recently that we should be talking more about AI here. So I was looking at, does anybody use PopClick for Mac? So Mac utility?
Some of the
Oh,
community.
okay, good.
Yeah.
Dave, I've got to stay on top of many apps, but PopClick isn't one that I had done, that I got myself familiar with. So what I did was I asked AI to to give me the skinny on PopClip. So what I could do here is, here's my ChatGPT on PopClip. Here's the PopClip homepage. I can actually hook these two items together to make it easier to navigate to them in the future. So I'm going to copy a link to this web page. So this is just a regular HTTPS link. And then I'm going to go to this chat, which is also HTTPS, happens to be, could be something else. I'm going to invoke Hookmark on this, on the chat side. The chat here is actually called PopClip Mac app because that's what AI has called it probably. And then I can use this command called hook to copied link. Now, that sets up the bidirectional link between the two items, or the two links, if you will. So this PopClip, I'm going to rename this so it's ChatGPT should add a suffix like that. Anyway, I've renamed this side. So ChatGPT, the chat on PopClip is now linked to this. So later, if the PopClip window is closed, I can go, or it's hidden or whatever, I can easily navigate back and forth between the two. So I can go to the chat. So it's a very simple application of AI, but you can see that that could be useful for anything. Let's say you're reading a long academic PDF or whatever PDF in your domain, and you want to get ChatGPT's opinion on it, or some uh, summary or whatever. You can hook your PDF or your web page to the ChatGPT chat. So if you're like me, you've got a lot of chats going on here. So getting back to these chats is slow. The search engine searching chats here is, I find it rather slow. But with Hookmark, basically you bypass the search. So that's the hook to copy link concept. It's a concept that some people, even software developers, will take a while to get their head wrapped around. Other people will get it immediately. So if you don't get it at first, rest assured that it'll click. And once you got it, it's actually a very simple concept, is creating links between items that we called hooks. Does anybody have any comment or question on that?
Real quick though, Dave, how do you use PopClick and why do you like it?
You're muted. Dave, you're muted.
You're still muted.
Zoom should pop up a window where you can just click to.
There is a key, I think
There,
the space bar.
I was looking for my Hookmark license in my email, and somehow Zoom disappeared. But PopClip, I use it with Tinderbox a lot for creating a new note. I highlight some text, and uh, uh, just it's linked to an Apple script. I click on make new link in a blog post I'm creating. So I'll be in my RSS reader, NetNewsWire. I'll copy the link to the item I want to blog about. That link is on the clipboard, and when it's highlighted, I get the pop clip menu, and the far left one is make a new link in Tinderbox. So I may have the sequence of that wrong, but that's the main reason why I use PopClip, is to integrate RSS with Tinderbox in writing blog posts. And there are a couple other things I do, but I can't think of them right off the top of my head, and I'm trying to find where Zoom went.
Oh, do you want to share a link in a chat to your blog post? Your blog?
Sure, but there's nothing recent about PopClip in there. But
No, but just for your
okay,
see what
sure,
you're on. I like to see what
sure.
Tinderbox users are doing.
By the way, PopClick is free it's available through the Setup app. It's one of the
Yeah.
number of software you can get through the Setup subscription.
including Hookmark.
including, oh, can you?
Yeah, for better or for worse.
I always
Um,
pay for Hookmark directly, so.
that's appreciated. I had a lot of setup users saying, "Hey, why aren't you making the Hookmark for iPhone, which we call Hookmark Pal, free? I mean, as part of the setup subscription." And we said we draw the line because it took us a while to develop that.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to mute now, but there's the link
Okay.
there.
Okay. So I'm going to actually go back to the reveal file in Finder because it's an underappreciated feature. If you've got a PDF that you're reading that's deeply nested and you want to do something outside of Hookmark with it, it turns out this could be worth the price of the app in itself, if just to be able to navigate without searching to get to the file that you're using. So a very simple use case. It illustrates what Hookmark is about, is to give you contextual information access, and here you get to see the PDF in the context of the folder that you're working on. I have no idea why Apple hasn't built all these things into macOS, but it gave us a business opportunity. Um, okay, so we've done the copy link. We've done a version of copy link, paired it with hook to copy link. I just wanted to point out that we support deep links, not just app links, but links that go deep into uh, say a PDF, or we have some videos. So if I were to select some text and bring up Hookmark and do copy link in this context, and let me paste it to text version of this so you can just see it. So, and then I paste this link because I'm in a text file. I'm just going to get the URL, not the name of the link. But you can see that that we've encoded the location in the document. So I'm going to bring this back into RTF so I have a nice formatted link that I can easily click on. Oh, let me first scroll back. Let's say I'm starting work on Monday and I want to get back. I just put a little note to get back to this point in the PDF, for instance. So I can click on that and boom, it scrolls to the location in the PDF. And you don't have to do anything specific. The copy link command will adapt. It'll notice that you've selected some text and it'll give you a deep link. This works in many it doesn't work in Preview. Preview doesn't support that, but it works in Reader. It works in Nitro, which used to be Smile Software's PDF reader. It works with DevonThink as well. So, so Hookmark as one of the bonuses. We want the copy link to be as useful as possible. It works with Bookends as well. So we made the copy link in PDFs do something that's very useful for anybody who's doing knowledge intense work with long PDFs. The number of use cases for that is as kind of ginormous. So I'm going to bring up the bookmark window again, um, and search all bookmarks here. This is the search. So this just illustrates that at the beginning of this session, um, there were no bookmarks. I cleared it out of this particular account. And what you see is what I was trying to illustrate earlier is that when you copy a link to something in Hookmark, or you hook things together, which implicitly copies links, you uh, Hookmark will bookmark the information for you. So this becomes a treasure trove for future searching. Like we say that Hook is a contextual information retrieval tool, but it also supports search so that what you get in this bookmark window, which in my case, I've got like 60,000 of these things, but it's hyper focused. The, the big idea behind it is whenever you copy a link to something, you're essentially indicating to this meta being that this is information that's relevant you might want to return to in the future. So without having to manually add a bookmark, which all the other bookmarking software requires, we say, okay, you've copied a link to something. Let's keep a copy of that link within your database for future reference. So I end up instead of using Launchbar or Spotlight, I will often just go to Hookmark because I'm once you get in the habit of using a tool, you get a lot of bookmarks. So Hookmark could be run in background or foreground mode. And you can control this by going into the settings. We've got a little gear menu here. It's not very visible, but and you go into the settings. And you can see in the advanced tab, we put it in the advanced tab, you can, we call it show doc icon. We've basically copied how Launchbar does it, because when you an app can be in foreground or background mode, and in background mode it doesn't show up in the app switcher, it doesn't show up in force quit, um, and so on. So but if you do this, click on show doc icon, which will be the default in Hookmark 7.0, which is coming up. It's now not the default. Then when you use the app switcher, I don't know if you can see the app switcher here, but you can see Hookmark is in the app switcher. So just an FYI, you can run it in either mode. Now I'm going to pause and see if this is going in the direction that you want, this kind of presentation, and if there's any questions.
It's actually going in the direction we want. I guess the question would be, beyond just doing linking, can we see like some more comprehensive examples of like when you're taking notes, or can you do deep linking into a PDF file, like on page, link to page 10 or a particular element like that, or is it just, can you only are linking to the top note?
Okay, well, I was trying to illustrate that earlier with calling in productivity, so I'll illustrate it again. I'm going to go down to another location here, and I'm going to select some text, bring up Hookmark with Control H by default. If it's not running, you might end up backspacing on something, but whatever. Okay, so we're going to copy link. Okay, so it's a regular copy link command, and I'm going to do it in text edit here. And I'm going to paste this link. It appears the same. The file name's the same, but if you look at the link, it's actually a deep link to
Got it,
the
got it, got it. I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah. So the format of that link will be different depending on whether you create it in Reader or DevonThink, etc. They all have their grammars, but the net effect will be the same, and Hookmark supports.
Now here's the other question. Can you do that? This might get a little fancier, but I could see us. Could you right mouse click on that and add to app like you did with the Tinderbox link, and actually have that created as a new subnote?
You could, if I did, if as a new subnote. Okay, so
right,
yeah, you could do that. You bring up Hookmark again. Like I've selected some text. Let's select adopt here. Control H to bring up Hookmark. And then you got this hook to new. You can make Tinderbox your default hook to new type, by the way. So you don't have to go through a submenu. Whoops. Apparently I did something that I didn't mean to do. There's a keyboard shortcut which I would normally use, which is Control Command N, but for the sake of the demo. So now I can scroll here. I can type T to get down to Tinderbox. And then I'll double click on that, and I've created a new note in Tinderbox, which
now
got.
what would be interesting though is if like the copied text could be brought over, pasted in
Okay.
the text window.
Well, yeah.
And if that new note could be actually added as a child note to the, and what I mean by that, if you're back in Tinderbox real quick.
Yeah, I see.
So if you
Yeah,
hit, if you select the note that you have there, just to demonstrate it, and you hit, I think it's shift return, or is it control? No, sorry, option return.
Yeah, these things become up unconsciously.
And then tab that. Okay, and then.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that way, all those new notes I'm creating are all being nested under the parent note of the book.
Yeah.
Or the PDF.
Okay. Well, I can show you a command which I was on my menu to talk about next. So I'm going to bring up Hookmark. Whoops. He wants to. Sorry, I triggered something in macOS there. I'm actually doing this over a screen share, so you can get my demo computer. There's a command called copy, quote, and link. It's Control Q, copy selection and link, actually. So I can copy the selection and the link. I haven't tried this in Tinderbox yet. How do I get my note?
You have to click on a note, yeah.
I want to get into the bottom part.
Yeah, click on the subnote. Click on the title of the note there, and now you can click in the text. No, in the white part. Just click on the white part. There you go.
Thank you. Okay, so what I've got here, is I've got with the quote symbol indicating we're quoting some text, and this is the selection, and this is a link back.
Right.
So
Sorry, go
you
ahead.
can build up basically if you're doing deep reading and you want to, get the knowledge gems out of a PDF, you can use this copy selection and link multiple times in individual or the same note, depending on how you work.
No, and again, from a workflow perspective, having to go back and forth like that would get really annoying very quickly. So is there a
So
way
you
to
want hook to new quote?
hook to new quote and then have that dump in as a child note in the
Okay, well, that would be possible. This is the thing about Hookmark is highly extensible. Um, so in the scripts, we have this is the new item script here for Tinderbox. So we've got Tinderbox 11. There's how to open the item, how to get the name, how to get the address, which now we basically just do get address. We don't do get name anymore. Well, we did it here because Tinderbox was an early edition, but we tend to just return a markdown link here, which gives you the name and the address. Anyway, there's this new item script. So if you could find a way as a Tinderbox expert to
yeah, we'll look at that afterwards.
to do that, and it might be optional, or I don't know how you do it, but offhand, but that would be cool. I'd do a blog post about that. Chuck has a question.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just
Okay.
getting in the queue. I just quickly, I assume that if you make updates to that, it's only in your system. You have to share it back with Hookmark script development to get it to be shared with other people. Is that correct?
Yeah, and so I'm going to edit this script. I'm going to put a space and save, and then you're going to see, as you'd expect, there's a little star after Tinderbox indicating you've overridden something.
Got it.
And then what you do is I want to get rid of my override, so I'm going to click minus. We didn't build a full script editor here because you can actually take this entire text and put it in AppleScript or, oh my God, Script Debugger has gone out of business. That was a useful tool. Um, but um, but anyways, yeah. And so you hit the minus and you'll get the latest update. If you don't see the update, as I mentioned earlier, you can hit check now
The
and you'll
little
get,
ladybug, the little ladybug app went out of business.
yeah.
It's
Oh, that's
still
tough.
it still works, and it's just not being updated or supported. The developers have retired.
Yeah, yeah. He's I've forgotten his name now. Mark A. He lives in Victoria, BC. I'm in Victoria, in BC, by the way. British
Yeah,
Columbia, Canada.
Yeah.
I
The, uh,
still
the,
use it.
the,
Yeah,
the part of the country that Donald Trump wants to annex, apparently. But whatever.
We hope we can save you. Um,
Yeah.
so the real question I was going to ask about was you talked about links within a Mac OS environment. And as I understand things, this extends to Apple mobile devices like iPads and iPhones. And that is through another app. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we've got a companion app called Hookmark Pal,
Mm-hmm.
which if text expander worked through screen sharing, and let me just give you I wanted to show off how quickly I could do this, but I ended up using the wrong shortcut because I use text expander as well, independently of Hookmark as a linking tool. So this is Safari, get a new tab. This is the PAL app. It's just a homepage for the PAL app. So
Mm-hmm.
what there's serious sandboxing going on iPhone side. So it's a bit restricted compared to what we can do on the Mac side. But one of the main features is that all of your Mac links will sync. All the bookmarks that you create in Hookmark for Mac will sync on the iPhone side or iPad side and vice versa. Now the reason we're charging for this is that we're gonna add features beyond. There's a platform for doing things beyond what Hookmark itself can do on the Mac side, like be a universal. Well, actually, forget the comparison. It's going to be a universal bookmarking app in the sense that you can add bookmarks to Hookmark and will then propagate those bookmarks to whatever you're subscribed to, like Good Links and Pinboard or Pocket's Gone, Devon Think. But anyway, it already is universal in the sense that on the on the iPhone side and the Mac side, you have links to all kinds of apps. So it's ubiquitous might be a less confusing word because universal link has a technical meaning in the Mac OS world. Anyway, that's
Well,
it. The long
speaking
story.
of
Go ahead.
ubiquitous, in my professional activities, I spend a lot of time going, my Mac is my main workstation.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to deal with, a variety of Unix, Linux, VMs, Windows, unfortunately, VMs, different hypervisors. So I'm always dealing with different systems. And one of the biggest challenges is how do you get to information that isn't on your desktop, but might reside in let's say, a Windows VM or a Linux VM. So that was why I asked the question about the mobile side. So that's where you're extending beyond the desktop or the laptop.
Absolutely.
But is there anybody in your community, or are there any efforts that are looking at how you could extend Hookmarks to other systems, even crudely?
We do want to, enable syncing on the Windows side. That would require an injection of money, and we need to complete the features. We've got a product roadmap, which I can link to here using Text Expander. So you can see how it's really fast to get arbitrary URLs with these hacks. So you can Google this, or this is we've talked about our product roadmap. So 7 is going to do a lot of things. One of the things we're working on right now with Hookmark 7 is enhancing the basic function of Hookmark. What's the basic function of Hookmark? It's to copy a link to just about anything. So for web links often have URL cruft, UTM parameters, tracking codes, etc., that drive Mac users crazy because we like things to be clean, two things, clean and simple. So URL cruft is non-simple and it's very dirty. So Hookmark will do what some browsers already do to a limited extent, which is give you a clean URL. But Hookmark's the only app that'll build that into the copy link function and work across browsers. So I illustrated Hookmark being used in Safari, but it works just as well in Chrome, Edge, a bunch of minor browsers, and Firefox. Now, Firefox support uses UI scripting, so it's not as clean. We would have to go behind the scenes and add some kind of an AppleScript bridge or something to Firefox. So we just haven't gone there. Don't know if the community would appreciate us doing that, but Firefox is not very scriptable.
Yeah, I would just observe that one of the reasons why I use Firefox is because it is not Chrome based.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
well, Hookmark still works it'll work. It's a bit, you got to give it a second to populate the link sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And in a sense, I could imagine that with a little bit of creativity around the scripting tools, that one could set things up so you could get some maybe half-baked links to objects in other operating systems that are available across the network. So I could imagine that could be done. I was just curious if you had anybody in your user base, or if there was general interest in that kind of capability. If there's no interest, if it's just odd people like me, then yeah, you're not going to spend the time on it. But I just was trying to see, is this something other people have expressed an interest in?
We've had occasional requests for Windows, not that much. Maybe an odd request on the Linux side. The big request we had was on the PAL side, which is why we did it. And it was slow to come out. It's actually been ready for a couple of years. I was kind of out of commission with illness the last couple of years, but I'm back in shape, which delayed it. But we now have the Hookmark PAL, and we're diligently updating it in parallel with Hookmark for Mac.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, next question comes from Peter, I think.
Okay, I was wondering, do you have any kind of a software development kit so that people who are working on Electron apps and JavaScript applications could build Hookmark support into them?
Well, we are scriptable, so that's it. We haven't exposed the X callback URL because it's you can use AppleScript. So basically, you can add read links using AppleScript, so it's extensive to the extent of the functionality that Hookmark provides. Now, Hookmark in itself is very simple, right? It's copy link, hooking links, creating objects, and linking them together. So the AppleScript dictionary is not huge, but it's comprehensive. And when we add some functionality and forget to add the AppleScript, we'll get an email saying, "Hey, I'd like to be able to script that." So we add the scripting capability. So Apple has pledged that AppleScript is not going away. And shortcuts certainly doesn't parallel it. So if in the future they added something new, we'd no doubt look at adding an API in the other language. But for now, it's AppleScript. So yeah, we're champions of interoperability. If like you could see all those we're relying on other apps interoperability. So it's incumbent on us to live up to what we request other apps to do, which is be interoperable. So for instance, we've had requests for visualization tools, graphical representations of Hookmark. There's a core percentage of users that wanted that, so we considered doing it. We got some backlash from users saying, "No, don't bother doing it. We'd rather see you develop in other areas." So I did a survey, and it's a small percentage, like 8 to 10% of people seem to want a visualization tool. So that can come. I myself, it's not something that really appeals to me, so there's developer bias there. Okay, Art,
Oh yeah, hey, hi. Thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
you're
We
welcome.
all do. So okay, just a couple of questions so I can understand how the app sort of functions at its core. So now there are millions of files on my laptop, right?
Yes.
And they're not all necessarily hooked or hookmarked. It's when I click on one or register as part of a destination link or a source link that it sort of joins the registry of various bookmark links.
Yes.
Okay, and so then there's a database of some kind of those bookmark links.
Yeah, and I tried to illustrate that with bringing up Hookmark, and then I'm going to do it the long way. There's a shortcut for this. Open bookmarks window. So in the gear menu. Now, the gear menu also shows up in the menu bar icon and so on. So what happened
I'm
here?
seeing the Chrome page. Okay, now I see your window.
See
Okay,
all bookmarks. You can pin your bookmarks. So it's
sure.
useful. Like you can you might want to start work on Monday morning on a particular email or something. It could be a
So pin
task.
that. Fine,
Yeah,
fine,
pin
right.
it. Yeah, and there's a
Okay,
tagging. We support tags and search by
okay,
tag.
okay. And those are Finder tags, the same as the Finder
They're
tag
not okay.
system.
This is a cool thing that we're working on. It turns out that in Mac OS, there's various um, ta taxonomies of tags. So you could define your
Hmm,
Finder tags, your OmniFocus tags, your good links
hmm,
tags, etc. So Hookmark has its own tags, but we're a unification app, so we want to be able to unify tags different across these different silos. So we're going to
sure.
support that so that the tags, to a certain extent, the tags you see in Hookmark will be the same as you see, say, in good links for a particular item.
Hmm.
Um, now,
Okay.
Hookmark does go, well, in 7.0 goes beyond what it itself has bookmarked. I'm going to expose here on the view menu. There's show indirectly hooked, which shows you
Oh,
what's
okay.
and show related. I'm just going to show related. And
Perfect.
And we've got an algorithm here to show related items. It's kind of simple at the moment. It's based on other names that are
Okay.
similar, but we're going to say if you've tagged something with foo and you open Hookmark on that item tagged with foo, and in the Finder you have other things that are tagged with foo, we're going to show you those things as related.
Mm-hmm.
That's just an
Fair enough.
example of the kind of we want to escape the bounds of the bookmark database. Having said that, we want to stay true to the core of Hookmark, which is that those things that you've actually copied links to are touched with Hookmark. should show up at the top of the information retrieval lists.
Okay. And now this list, can you drag and drop files into it, and then they will then be linked?
In the bookmarks window,
Yeah.
you know what? It's funny. That's on our to-do list, and I can't remember if we've implemented this. So I don't think, let's grab a sub thing, which well, apparently we can.
Okay,
So,
excellent. Excellent. And then last question, and I guess this is sort of a compound question, because say I want to see at one point when I'm looking in this Hookmarks window at one file, and I want to sort of see the network, the sort of the spider web. I may have gone on a real research jaunt and clicked all over the place and linked stuff to linked stuff.
yeah.
Is there some way I can actually see the mess I've made?
Yes. So I was let me create a network. I'm going to link I'm going to illustrate the linking through the menu bar icon to I'm just another way of hooking
Sure.
things together. So I'm going to hook
Sure.
this to this. Okay. And I'm going to hook this guy to all of these. I'm just going to drop it now on the menu bar icon. It'll automatically go to the bottom, and it's telling you what it's done. So I've actually hooked these things. So now if I bring up Hookmark on this guy, I should see, oops, I'm going to expose the indirectly hooked,
Mm.
and it shows you what's indirectly hooked.
Mm.
So it
Okay,
flattens the network and displays it to you. Now you can search through this because you might end up having a lot of stuff, and we
Yeah.
want to help. So I can Command F to find all the RTFs, which they're all RTFs. So 1.2.1, boom. So you can search. There are two scopes of search. One is in the context window. One is in the bookmarks window that gives you an overall search.
Perfect. Okay. Great. And so does this app support Hazel?
You can use Hazel in combination with it. We've got AppleScript, and I think Hazel allows you to do things AppleScript wise. I'm not a Hazel user, so but I do own Hazel. Because I'm the issue with
I'm just
doing hook.
wondering,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry. Sorry. No. I was just
Oh,
wondering, like, say if I move files using Hazel and
yeah.
then I want to change some aspect of them, even maybe their deep link.
Okay, so Hazel's on my radar as a potentially very useful adjunct to Hookmark. So Hookmark's got AppleScript, and I think Hazel can use that. But I could see Hazel being useful for when you use the command hook to new. Now
Mm-hmm.
it ends up hook to new. I use that all the time, and my default is BB edit. So if I wanted to take notes
Okay.
about a PDF, odds are I would do it in BB edit. This is my demo machine.
Okay.
I can't. So it would put these. I'm just going to do Command N. Oh, I did it in notes, of course. So
whatever you select as your default, basically, it should generally go hit that.
yeah.
Excellent. Even
So
numbers. Okay.
it puts it in this notes folder.
Great.
So if I was a
Okay.
Hazel user, I'd have Hazel look at this notes folder because I've got
Uh-huh.
thousands of files created by Hookmark. So if I
Right.
was a Hazel
Okay.
user, I'd have Hazel move them in accordance with, like, for instance, if I hook
Yeah,
a
that's
tweet,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Like Twitter, if I've hooked something to tweets, I'd like them to all go in my Twitter notes or
Mm.
X notes.
Correct.
Okay,
That's sorting hat. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thanks so much. That's
you're
great.
welcome. Dave.
Yeah, so dim my camera because nobody wants to watch me eat.
Ah,
If you have a watched folder in Tinderbox, and say you're watching a note in notes or a folder, do the links transfer over into the text of the Tinderbox note remain as linkable? I kind of expect they will, but I haven't seen that done. I haven't done it.
if it's within the same document, I don't know how it would behave across documents because there's two levels or scopes of hooking stuff. You can hook to a note inside a Tinderbox file, or you can hook to you can copy a link or hook to an entire Tinderbox file. So if you don't select anything in Tinderbox, then notice that the title of the context window will be the entire Tinderbox file. So you can pick your choice. I'm guessing that if you move a note within Tinderbox, there's no problem within a Tinderbox file. I'm not familiar with what happens between that. I've got to uh, dig more into Tinderbox. One of the issues with doing Hookmark is I've got to learn so many apps because we integrate with so many. Tinderbox is powerful. Okay, Peter.
Yes, I was wondering, with Hookmark Pal, is there any chance you could make it possible to move PDFs between a Mac and an iDevice and vice versa when a Hookmark link gets opened? Because one of the biggest pains I have is moving all my PDFs over onto the iPad and then getting things that I download directly on the iPad moved back over onto the Mac. So if
It's
Hookmark could help with that, it'd be a huge win.
Yeah, well, right now we had file support in a beta version of Hookmark, but the sandboxing made it so tedious for the end user, we decided to pull it out. But I was enthused by, or nudged, if you will, by the Omni Group, who called me in January and say, "Hey, we're adding file links. We just thought you should know," and they described them. And you can simplify the workflow a little bit by the user needs to give permission to every single file, or it turns out to a folder. So to make a long story short, what you're describing seems to be beyond what would technically be possible. You'd have to use something like DevonThink, which provides a URL scheme and syncs the files. We don't sync files. We're we're the connectors of information. We're not repositories for the end information. Like for instance, caching web pages. We have no intention of supporting that because Hookmark works with other software like GoodLinks and Pinboard that does the caching. So we don't need to replicate that. We want to be laser focused on information retrieval. Chuck.
Yes, thank you. One of the other issues that I am personally quite interested in is email. I know you've
Yeah.
got good connectivity with Apple Mail. Unfortunately, Apple Mail has never been adequate for my needs. And so I happen to use Thunderbird, but I'm considering moving to some other clients that are fairly robust, like EM client. What is what are the constraints for linking to email in vast repositories via Hookmark? Because that could be hugely helpful to me.
So I went to to Hookmark's preferences, clicked on the email tab here, and exposed the URLs. Now that we can allow you to open links in. So whenever you copy a link, I've got mail somewhere here. I'm going to copy a link to an email. I'm going to grab this guy here. I copy a link to an email because that's a fundamental operation. I'm just going to paste in text edit so you can see what the link looks like. We're really proud of this. We find this so useful, copying links to emails. So we've defined a hook scheme, hook / email, and then we have basically we use the RFC ID of the email, which should be supported by multiple mail apps, and in fact is.
Right.
So you can decide what you want these mail links to open in. So you can use the same link. You don't lose your links or the effectiveness of your links when um, you change the email client that you want Hookmark, which serves these hook / email links, which serves them. So you can have them open in MailMate or Mail. We also support MimeStream, but MimeStream defined its own URL. So this MimeStream is an example of many apps. We got in touch with the CEO and we said, hey, we've got a lot of our users who want to be able to copy links to your stuff, and we interacted, and then they added it. They chose to add because it's Google. To make a long story short, it's just a Google email client, so they they didn't use the RFC email ID to index their links. So if you copy or their emails, if you copy a link in MimeStream, you're going to get a MimeStream / URL. It's not interchangeable, so it's kind of you got to know that you're locked into MindStream if you start using MindStream to copy links. But Outlook used to be used to have an API for getting. I don't suppose you want to use Outlook, but it does have to have a linking API. They took it out and they pledged to add it back, and they keep postponing it, but
Yeah.
it's in their bug system.
We won't discuss Outlook.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not a fan.
Waste
Michael,
of time.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
could you like go to like a random image or file on your hard drive again and show me the quickest way to do a hook to Tinderbox without having to pop up the context window and all of that?
Oh, without having to. Okay, so if I
Like
wanted to.
like if I wanted to just grab any random file like that and then hook that to Tinderbox without having to pull up the as a new note in Tinderbox.
Okay, so I'm going to.
So how'd you do that? What did you
Oh, yeah, but
what hotkey
this is bringing up. This is not solving your problem. I'm just trying to get to where I can. I'm getting to the settings, to the settings window and look at our shortcuts and trying to remind myself whether we've got a global shortcut to hook to new. And apparently we don't. And we can add that. As a matter of fact, I'm seeing that that's a hole. So we have global shortcuts that allow you to bypass the main global shortcut, which is to bring up Hookmark, right? So you can copy a link to something without bringing up the Hookmark window by using this, whatever, global shortcut you've assigned to copy link. We don't have hook to new there, but we could. And I imagine Tinderbox would need to be your default note-taking app.
As for everyone knows, for me, Tinderbox I use it 90% of everything. So
Well, I
might be
just added a note to myself to in my to support hook to new as a global keyboard shortcut. I'm surprised nobody's asked for that because a lot of our users are real keyboarders. I guess we haven't talked a lot about task management systems today, like OmniFocus things. I use Task Paper as well as OmniFocus, but Hookmark integrates with them, and that's a huge use case with Hookmark that you could, in your task list, you can paste or hook links to anything. So if you're reading a PDF or you're writing a document or doing whatever you're doing, you could put that in your task list. I'll use it a lot for email. I don't use flagging because it doesn't work for me. But if I need to respond to an email, not now, I will often copy a markdown link to the email and then put it in task paper, which which is a plain text task management system. So we haven't talked about it, but there's copy uh, as markdown link. So that's fairly obvious what that does. But there's copy as universal link. Now, a universal link is an HTTPS style link. So I'm gonna go into, I think I had prepared Google Docs somewhere. Yeah. So this is the Google Doc. Now, if I was to paste a regular Tinderbox link, let's do it with Tinderbox. I haven't illustrated Tinderbox enough today. So I'm going to copy a link to this note. Okay, just if I were to copy that as a regular link, hello, copy link. Google Docs or Discourse Form and many Notion would neuter that link. They are not on board with custom links. But let's remove the PDF name here. I don't like that. Okay, so oh, I haven't saved it. Anyway, I can copy that as a universal link. Submenu. We added a submenu. And boom, it works. What's the deal? Well, this is we've made it an HTTPS link that nominally goes through the server. It doesn't reveal anything about your link. The confidentiality is kept. So it's a Hookmark link with Tinderbox as the sub profile. So you get to, if you're interested in the schemes, you can analyze it. So that works. So that's the way to get around get around the limitations of Google Docs, etc., so that you can continue to work with links. You copy as a universal link. A universal link is an HTTPS style link. This illustrates that with Hookmark, we want to be your Swiss Army knife of linking. We want to cover all the edge cases where people run into hurdles trying to link information together, and pasting links on the web is one of those hurdles that we get around. I don't know how far you want me to go because I don't know what the time frame is, Mark, or
We
Mike.
go to about 10:30. So if you have more, that'd be great. And if you're done, I'm sure we could use the last few minutes if Mark can maybe demonstrate the new Gemini integration and how to actually use it.
Well, I don't want to interrupt your flow. There's other stuff.
There's no flow. There's no flow. It's all you. We're dedicated to you today.
Okay. So I've showed you the indirectly hooked, the related items. So the gear menu is I'm going to illustrate that Hookmark. I've got Hookmark running in foreground mode, and as such, you now have, which you didn't have before, a you now have lots of commands in the menu bar here. You can export your bookmarks if you want to, and you can import them. I'm going to get the settings to show you that we support syncing through iCloud or through a folder. So I've not synced this here because it's a demo machine. I don't want to expose all my links. But normally you'd sync to iCloud, and then you can easily gain access to the same bookmark / links across different devices. And you need to turn this on if you want to sync with iPhone Pal. Now you can also sync to a folder. Now this I had a meeting on Monday with a lawyer where everybody in the firm, it's a small firm, but still, they all share their Hookmark database together. So that's one way to do sharing. Is choosing a Dropbox folder. I'm not going to click on this because I don't want to turn it on, but you can choose any folder, a synced folder, for instance, that's shared in Dropbox. Okay, Peter.
Yeah, could we see a demonstration of the Bookends integration?
Oh God, I don't have Bookends on this. I will do this.
Excellent
Okay.
reason for him to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's no, I just want I use Text Expander as a linking tool, so I was quickly able to answer that question by showing you I've got a video here on this using Hookmark with Bookends blog post. I think there's a video on the videos page. Unfortunately, Text Expander doesn't work here. Yeah. I'm going to add this video to this page. If I guess, Mark, you're going to, or somebody's going to share this. So Bookends, it's using Hookmark with book. So we've got a video that I made specifically for Bookends. Very good support. You can choose whether to use the hook file URL schemes or the Bookends native URL schemes when you link in Bookends. But yeah, unfortunately, I use Bookends myself, but I don't have it on this particular Mac. Is there like it's very handy. You can do everything I described today. Like you get the same context menu showing up with the same commands being available to you in Bookends. And I can't recall whether we've got deep linking. Let me have a look. Yes, we have deep linking in Bookends as well. That means if you copy link to a selection in Bookends, you're going to get a deep link to that specific selection.
Do you do Zotero as well?
The what?
Do you support Zotero?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So one way for you to see what we support, you can send me an email. I'll be happy to answer any questions. We're quite responsive. We respond the same day typically. But if you want to poke around a little bit, you click on scripts. Most of the apps that we support are listed in the scripts. So if you scroll all the way down to Z, you'll see we've got the beta version and the official version of Zotero. I should point out that some apps are supported out of the box. So if you don't see your app listed here, if it's a file-based app, it may very well be supported because if people do things in a certain way, by default, Hookmark just works with them without any need for these extra integrations.
So like Obsidian, would you? I'm assuming you'd have decent
Yeah.
integration with Obsidian.
We have extensive Obsidian choices and we have a default integration. An issue that comes up is what do you want the file scheme, the URL scheme to be when you copy a link in another app? Because and we've got a web page that describes our principles for choosing what the scheme should be. Typically, we'll create URLs with the scheme of the app that you're dealing with if that app defines its own URL schemes, which Obsidian does. But you might want, for whatever reason, to use Hookmark files as a URL scheme because that's more the Obsidian URL schemes are brittle. But anyways, to make a long story short, we do support it extensively, and I'm gonna uh, show you this here. You can use for most apps, if you do just Google using Hookmark with and the name of the app, and then you'll come up with the web page that we wrote. I mean, it's not for most apps, it's for many apps. And this is just for, there's a lot of Obsidian geeks out there, so we've given them options. But
Cool.
it just works out of the box. You don't need to know that there's different ways to do it. Bruce.
Thanks. I just going back to your screen about the choice between iCloud and a specific folder. So with a specific folder, for example, if you're using Google Drive and you
Yeah.
have it on your desktop as well, is that the kind of setup you're thinking of?
Yes, I've not worked extensively with Google Drive. It does some funny things, like with files, it uses references a lot, and so I can't vouch for how it would work with Google Drive, um,
So
but
that say Dropbox.
yes,
Between Dropbox and iCloud for that setup, do you have a preference for one or the other?
no, they're equal. If you want to to if you want to work with Hookmark Pal, yeah, you basically have to use iCloud if you want them to sync. There's no notion of folder choosing a specific folder. So Dropbox would be useful. I mean, you can use iCloud in a sharing situation, but it's not as well designed. It's not really designed for sharing. They added that, whereas
And by
Dropbox.
using,
Go
oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
By using iCloud, are you talking about with the iCloud kit where it's going to do the synchronization in the background then?
Yes. Yeah. So what you also need here is you need to obviously you need to enable iCloud for Hookmark uh, in your iCloud's, you know, um, iCloud setting. So yeah, so
Okay,
you have to have iCloud enabled, and Hookmark has to be one of the apps that you sync, uh, which
okay,
I think will pop up a reminder if you choose iCloud and you don't. Um, now, what's funny is
okay. I'll give it a try. I've already installed it from my Set app and feel a little badly. Feel like I should
no,
be
no,
like
no,
Michael and just buy it from you, but for now I'll use Set app.
no,
And out of
no.
curiosity,
It's perfectly
on
legitimate. You go ahead and use the setup.
on Setup, is it the standard version or the professional version of Hookmark?
Pro. So the setup has a rule is that it has to be the highest tier. We considered having an expert tier, but we thought it's too confusing for users, so we just have two. Well, we have three tiers. We have Hookmark Basic, and I do encourage people, on your network, if they want to try Hookmark, they can use the basic version, which enables you to copy links to emails and copy links to web pages. It's an entry point, and you can open any previously created link in the Hookmark Basic. There's no limitation that way.
Okay. And just one follow-up question. I apologize.
Yeah.
My iPad ran out of juice and I had to switch. I may have missed a little bit. But can you say basically the main purpose for why you would use bidirectional links?
When you're working, when you want to get it access information in the context of some other information, basically. Um, so from a task in OmniFocus, if you want to quickly get to some other thing, um, if you've got an, I mean, if you've got an object that you can't paste links into, but you want it to be linked to something, like a web page. Web pages are effectively read-only, unless you're using some tool that's not going to be available tomorrow. Then you want to use um, Hookmark to actually link that web page to something. In a PDF, I mean, you can write to a PDF, but it's awkward to paste links into a PDF. So if you want your PDF to be linked to something else, you pretty much have to use Hookmark. Um, so for, I mean, that's one of the main uses. It's not the only use.
And
Basically,
that was
once
your
you,
example earlier of the going deeper into the PDF and being able to highlight a certain paragraph and then basically having a universal bookmark that you can get to it. Am I understanding that right?
yeah, well, that's not a that was wasn't an illustration of hooks, which are showing up in the Hookmark window. It was an intro. It was more of copying a deep link. But uh,
Okay.
yeah,
I'll
it's a
watch the recording afterwards.
yeah. Once you get into the habit of using hooks, and I think hook to new is the easiest entry point because you don't have to. It's not a it's not explicitly a bidirectional thing. You're not doing two commands. It's just one command, and it sets up the hook for you. That's probably the easiest entry point. It's hook to new, and then once you get your head wrapped around copy link and then hook to copied link to set up a bidirectional link, i.e. a hook, you find that you get into the flow of using it and you use it more and more, and you know when to use it and when to use something else. Like another thing I'd illustrate is a Hookmark file. I'm in a web page here, so I'm bringing up Hookmark and I'm going to use create Hookmark file. That's very handy. It has created something like an alias or a web lock. You're familiar with web location files, except it's basically this file contains a link. I'm going to bring it in, open it in text edit so you can see. We just put a link here to the destination. It could be any URL whatsoever. Um, it could be a Tinderbox item that you want a link to on your file system. So you can't do that with aliases. So let me do it here with Tinderbox. This is a Tinderbox meetup after all. So I'm going to make Hookmark file. Make Hookmark file. So it's gone here in this folder. I can move this file around, but by default, we put it in this Hookmark files folder. And when I double click on that, it'll open the destination. So here, double click on that. Boom, it selected this Hookmark note. Sorry, this Tinderbox note. So it's cool. Aliases are not plain text editable. Hookmark files are. Um, and aliases can only contain file links, whereas hookmark links can contain links to anything. And this supports Markdown, so you can actually make this a Markdown link if you want. Whoops. So this could be a Tinderbox note. Whoops, typo, but we'll leave it. So that would work just as well. Whoops, I grabbed the Raycast one here. Okay, so that's a lot could be said about that. Peter.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Bud.
one of the uses I like to put it to is linking documentation to source code that I'm writing in a programmer's editor. So, for instance, if I find a solution on Stack Overflow, I want to be able to get back to where it was that I learned how to do that trick that I employed in the function. But I'm wondering if we could make that deep linkable. Is there any chance that Hookmark could maybe give me some sort of a globally unique ID that I could stick as a comment in my source code? So if I wind up copying that snippet of source code out of that file and dropping in another source code file that wasn't explicitly linked by Hookmark, Hookmark could scan for that and find it down the road so it would know that this other file is also based upon the insight that I got from finding that answer on Stack Overflow.
It's funny you should mention that because that's a use case we've covered early on because we figured some apps would not have an API for linking and yet still be indexed by Spotlight, and therefore we might be able to do something, and we did. So from the Hookmark 1.0, we've had this command here called it's advanced, although it's not that advanced. First, you copy a new unique ID, which you could easily do in 2 minutes in AppleScript. We've given you an ID. Then I'm going to paste this in some arbitrary note. Why did I organize this way? So I'm going to put this in deep in here. I'm going to paste this. This is just an ID. It's just a unique ID. But what I can do, having copied that into the buffer, I'm going to close this and I'm going to invoke Hookmark again and choose, I'm going to make a link out of that. Copy a link from clipboard. It could be anything in the clipboard. You can create your own ideas. And then it's going to copy this link, which you can then paste, and it creates what's called a hook search link. And this is how, before Hookmark ever came to be, I was using all kinds of workarounds, and this was one of them. So then you can search, and lo and behold, you got it, and it's gonna, well, it found this guy here. And you can basically, it'll give you spotlight search results. Whoops. And let's try it again. I'd use keyboard shortcuts. Oh wait, sorry, I'm doing the wrong thing. I meant to paste it in there. So it should show you the any instance that Spotlight can find. So yeah, that was a way to, it's not, nobody ever discusses it, but we've thrown it in there to round out the tool. Like I said, I wanted to really round things out. And I noticed that I didn't leave Mark any time to talk about his work on Gemini.
Get him next week.
Next week.
Exactly. Reason for a return visit.
Well, I can tell you it's been a pleasure to meet up again with Tinderbox group and remind me of Tinderbox as a tool that I need to incorporate into my workflow to get visual note-taking going, because I don't tend to do visual, but I know that there's this big part of the brain that is visual that should be exploited.
Would that
Likewise,
make,
it's been really good for us. Thanks so much, Luke.
Yeah,
Luke, would
thanks
that
so
make
much.
sense to use talking to Tinderbox, and Tinderbox does the visualization? Would that make sense?
Well, you guys could tell me whether we could, would it make, I mean, the Hookmark database can be huge, but what you could do is ask for a visualization of the particular network from a given node. So instead of just seeing a flat list of indirectly linked, that could get shown into Tinderbox, and those nodes could each be links, could be hooked to their destination. So that would be a way of doing it. Maybe that's
Mark,
how
in
we
your
should
spare
start.
time, Mark Bernstein, in your spare time, okay?
Oh, right.
I think that's Chuck's job. I think Chuck could handle that.
Oh
Right.
God, thank you.
But I don't see it
Well,
as, I mean, if I go ahead.
don't forget poster notes in Mermaid. Give you and some functions to query the Hookmark database could let you do the visualization inside Tinderbox or inside a browser for that matter. And then Luke gets out of having to write the visualization part.
I would definitely market that. So I don't even know Mermaid. Is that your tool for visualization?
No, it's a more or less open source JavaScript visualization library.
Okay.
But it's a Swiss Army knife. It's grown so that if you want a graph type that you've seen somewhere, it's probably got an option to do it.
Oh, interesting. Cool. Well, I put out the call a number of occasions when I get a request for visualization saying, we're open, and we would, if it requires changing Hookmark in some way to support the visualization, to make it faster, we definitely want to play ball because it's eye candy. A lot of people just love that stuff, but a lot of us don't.
Great. Thanks so much. This is fascinating.
Well, thank you. It's been a
Agreed.
pleasure. These have been all great questions and discussion points. So if there, we've got an active forum, and I had if you guys want to take a screenshot of this here, this is a coupon code for 50% off my cognitive productivity with Mac OS book. So go ahead and if you want to have a look at that, that's
I put that in the show notes earlier.
okay, because I wrote the book before Hookmark was available. We were just getting going on Hookmark behind the scenes, and I basically Hookmark comes out of a long program of R&D I started way back in 2002. So after Mark got started on hyperlinks, but I got at Simon Fraser University, we were building systems which could internally link anything to anything. And then I realized after that what other people in hypertext had long since realized is that linking needs not only to be confined to an app, but needs to go beyond the app. So that's when the need for Hookmark became obvious to me, which I finally got going on in 2016. We started coding.
Excellent.
Right.
Terrific. Michael, in 2 weeks we have Sasha Fast.
Yes.
It's 2 weeks, so it's 2 weeks from today rather than a week from tomorrow.
Correct. And
Excellent.
I also met
Context of what Sasha Fast does.
Sasha Fast is Zedelkasten.de, and he has a new book or small book on atomic notes.
Oh,
Atomic being elemental as opposed to blowing up cities.
The difference between kernel and kernel.
Yeah.
And then I also met somebody at the Internet Identity Workshop this week who has a new new method of note taking too that wants to present to us. So I'll find a time for him.
Terrific.
Awesome.
Thanks everybody. Great week.
All right,
thank you
everybody.
very much. Look forward to the recording, which I will share with Hookmark users.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Thanks, guys.